this is a hybrid planning application for. Can everybody hear me? No?
Yes, that's fine, Lottie. Carry on.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it's Kate that can't hear. Hybrid planning application for an affordable housing exception site consisting of full planning permission for proposed 17-number social rented dwellings, reinstatement of junior football pitch and associated works, in addition to outline planning permission, which is phase 2 for further social rented dwellings, and all further matters reserved for future consideration with that one. Please note that the committee report described an incorrect proposed number of dwellings, and that was also showing online until yesterday. So it did show as being 11 in phase 1, but it's in fact 17 proposed units in phase 1 with 11 proposed units in phase 2. Obviously, this is being presented to Development Management Committee as it's a major application of over 10 dwellings. Members might be wondering why it's come in as a hybrid application of a full application and outline, and the planning agent has confirmed that at the time the application was originally submitted, there was uncertainty of funding for the second phase of development, so hence it was submitted in outline. So these were the main issues that were dealt with in the committee report. They were covered and assessed in that, and then the pertinent issues from this list will be addressed in the presentation. The final recommendation is based on there being no outstanding consultee responses of significant concern and no objections have been received from third parties. So the application site is in Solva. It is between sort of lower and upper Solva. It's a site of approximately 4 acres and it's outside the identified centre boundary for Solva, hence it being a rural exception site. Services and facilities nearby to note include the primary school to the northeast, doctor's surgery to the east, village shop and post office immediately opposite to the north, and Solva Football Club, play area and skate park to the southeast. These are some aerial drone shots that have been taken earlier this week, just to give the site some context. So it's currently laid out as 3 to 4 football pitches. It's also used for community events and informal parking. And to note is that it's on grade 3A, best, most versatile agricultural land. Further agricultural land exists to the south, and there's approximately 3 further fields of a similar depth of this application site before the coast. So existing development is in all other directions. To the west, to the left on this screen, is 1960s ex-council housing, and also opposite the site. And then there's more recent development to the east, Mice and Moor, which is of a simple vernacular. So just to introduce what affordable housing exception sites are for those who aren't familiar from a planning perspective. First of all, I'll just say that Planning Policy Wales notes that the provision of affordable housing exception sites must be considered to help meet identified requirements and ensure the viability of the local community. So these are small sites within or on the edge of existing centres, which would not otherwise be allocated in the local development plan. The land is solely for 100% affordable housing and is not market housing. They don't attract a residential land value because they aren't allocated sites. So rural exception sites play a fundamental role in delivering affordable housing for local communities. And an important point to note is that the exception site affordable homes delivery is far more significant than Section 106 contributions that may be in the form of commuted sums or as part of a market housing scheme. So in this sense, affordable housing delivery on these sites is more efficient and reliable with less risk of economic issues. So the local housing market assessment is what we use with information that's been drawn from the housing register to calculate the existing unmet need and forecast newly arising need for both affordable and market tenures based on household projections and LDP growth strategies. So our LDP growth scenario assumes a new need of 435 homes per annum, of which 293 is for market housing and 142 for affordable homes. This overall need is then disaggregated into 20 market areas. So for this particular application site, it's in the housing market area of St David's, Clarion and Solva. So in this market area, there is a need for 152 affordable homes over the 15-year local housing market assessment period. And there is a need for 100 affordable homes over the 5-year period, 2023 to 2028. And the predicted level of newly arising need, and this is 5 affordable homes per annum. So the most recent LHMA was prepared in 2023, and this covers the whole of Pembrokeshire, so that's in and out of the national park. But then we're able to also forecast the need within the national park. The 100 affordable homes is an unmet need, so that represents the outstanding need from the last LHMA period, and that need should be met in the first 5 years of the plan period. So 8 dwellings are currently under construction in St David's, but the table still shows that the delivery of affordable homes in the market area of Solva falls far short of the roughly 10 homes per annum plus the newly arising need. So far, since this LHMA period, only 10 completed affordable homes in the market area have happened. So this, as I said earlier, this site is PMV agricultural land, and the affordable housing need is considered to represent an overriding need for the development of affordable housing and outweighs the need to protect the BMV agricultural land. So these are some views looking in towards the site. This is a view looking west. Southwest is a pedestrian adjacent to the A487, the main road it parallels. This is a view looking southeast, so from coming from St David's direction, from the A487. This is looking southwest from the existing vehicular entrance point, the northeastern corner of the site. And this is a view looking southeast into the site from the bus stop direction. And then this is the access road adjacent to the Brodale development, and this is looking east from there. This is a view looking northeast from the southwestern style access point agricultural land to the south. Another existing access point is that on the eastern boundary. So this is looking west from there. And then these are the site boundary features. Currently, it's mostly on the northern boundary, it's the most sparse hedging. On the southern boundary is the most sort of substantial hedge bank. Then on the western boundary, it's a bit thicker than the northern one. On the east, it's quite sparse, and there's also some fencing. So moving on to what is proposed. The proposal satisfies criterion B of policy 49, which is our affordable housing exception sites policy in the LDP, as the proposed housing mix meets the identified affordable housing need stated in the local housing market assessment. So the area in lilac is phase 1, the full application area, and then the area in beige, coloured in beige, is phase 2, so that's in the top left of the screen. So of the house types, pink is the three bed types. So there is one pair of 3-bed houses that are parallel to the road. Purple are 2-bed houses. Those are generally set further back. The groups of flats, that's 3, well, joining buildings, but sort of perceived as 3 different buildings. So that's 6 flats in total in blue, parallel to the road. And then there's 1-bed wheelchair accessible buildings in brown, set behind the blue flats. And then in orange is a 2-bed wheelchair accessible. I'm generally just describing the proposal in phase 1 at the moment, because the housing mix may well change for phase 2. And also I should note that the residential density is lower than stated in policy 51, our housing densities policy, but it is nevertheless considered acceptable and necessary because of the need to retain the recreational space within the site. And also this lower density is favourable for maintaining any sense of open landscape. Additional occupancy controls will be imposed despite the fact that the affordable housing will be managed by a registered social landlord, as per advice in TAN 2, which is planning and affordable housing for rural exception sites. So housing does remain as affordable housing in the future in perpetuity. This is the proposed drainage strategy plan. Each unit, each plot has its own soakaway. So there are legal planning obligations that come with this if it was to be approved. A local lettings policy, so only affordable housing for those registered on the Pembrokeshire Common Housing Register. This, in terms of local lettings policy, this is also expected to support the provision of accommodation for Welsh speakers. Separately, an obligation will be to retain the football pitch, which is shown in the proposal, but so that it's retained in perpetuity as recreational space unless otherwise formally agreed with the LPA. Also will require details for its design, construction, and also the management and maintenance plan, and it will be ensured that it's constructed to amateur football league standards. Additionally, that's not included in the proposal but will be part of the section 106, is an associated ancillary storage shed to be constructed by the developer with details to be submitted to the LPA. So that's the storage shed for Solva Football Club. The secondary school contribution required is £4,320 per dwelling for all dwellings of 2 bedrooms or more, as per the SPG. And then also a library services contribution is required, and that is at £43.48 per dwelling. Because it's solely for affordable housing, this site, HORE's contribution is not required as per the planning SPG. The applicant has agreed to the heads of terms, i.e. these obligations, and a section 106 will be drafted. So moving on to design aspects, these street scenes give an indicator of how the proposal may look. So the top one is the street scene view from the A487, and then that bottom CGI view is looking east towards Meister Cornell, so travelling from St David's to Solva. The development will be on your right hand side. So this proposed site plan for phase 1 also shows the proposed reinstated football pitch, which is on is essentially the left-hand corner of the application site. So that's a junior football pitch for the under 11 and 12 team. And with that football pitch is 11 associated car parking bays. So they're immediately adjacent to the football pitch, so just on the right-hand side, bottom right-hand side of the pitch in the middle there. So we've had regular dialogue with the agents and applicants, highlighting our concerns with certain aspects of the design. During the course of the application, we have suggested opportunities for amending the design, and certainly the amendments have come in, and these 1-bed flats are an example of that. We asked for so that the form wasn't too large and bulky on approach from Solva driving up the hill. These have been revised slightly so that one block will appear lower. They're staggered, so they kind of mirror the topography of the land. On the far left as well, you can see a bike storage, so that will be sort of the first aspect of development, I suppose, and that will also help to sort of ease the eye into viewing this development in its entirety. The 1-bed bungalow, there's this cat slide motif sort of carries through all of the designs. The way that there's consistency with the way that there's a storage shed on the front elevations, along with, I say a storage shed for bins, and then a plant storage, and a kind of an overhanging roof supported by a timber post. And this sort of consistency in design is welcomed. 2-bed bungalow is similar again. And we move on to the larger dwellings, which incorporate the first floor. And it's the dormer windows that have been a sticking point in terms of the proposed design. But I should point out that if this design was totally reworked to a full 2-story unit front and back, it would lead to a dwelling that is taller in size in order for it to be well balanced in its proportions. So it ought to be weighed up by members in that sense, and that it would be taller and it would have a potentially greater visual impact if it was a full 2 stories, as opposed to the 1.5 stories. So the 2-bed and 3-bed dwellings are fairly similar in design and appearance, and again, they all do visually connect with the flats and the bungalows too. I should also point out that the scheme, it was produced in liaison with Duffer Powers Police, so it does meet the WDQR Beautiful Homes Gold Standard. So in terms of how the proposal impacts on the special qualities of the national park, the site is open and there are visual links with the coast. However, experience of the national park's special qualities is limited due to surrounding development. In this location, there is an existing pattern of residential development, and whilst the site affords a break in that pattern and adds a variety, there is currently little sense of remoteness that in any other case might be attributed to edge of settlement rural locations, partly due to its position on the A487, which is part of the strategic road network. So, as suggested, this structure coast leading out of Solva is already developed, and a housing scheme is likely to visually connect these places, making the Broadale housing development in particular appear more integrated with Solva village. Within Solva and its environs, ranging from Lower Solva, Harbour and Estuary, through to higher coast path sections, and even the public rights of way network in vicinity of the site, there is the opportunity to achieve a diversity of experiences and different special qualities of the national park. So biodiversity and protected sites. The nearby protected sites include Pembrokeshire Marine SAC, West Wales Marine SAC, St David's SAC, Ramsey and St David's Peninsula Coast SPA, and these all have special designation. So this means that the application has been considered under Regulation 63 of the Conservation of Habitats and Species Regulation since 2017. TLSE, the test for likely significant effect, was carried out, and the application was screened out as it showed that there wouldn't be a significant effect on one of the qualifying features, troughs, and the submitted ecology report addressed that, which our planning ecologist agreed with. So in terms of foul drainage, the dialogue has been ongoing with Welsh Water during the course of this application, and it was only in February of this year that Dŵr Cymru Welsh Water confirmed that a detailed assessment of the current performance of the wastewater treatment works, the existing flows in the catchment, and the capacity available to accommodate additional foul flows had been undertaken. So as a result of this and ongoing maintenance, Welsh Water confirmed capacity for the entire development, both phases of development. So this refers to capacity in advance of the AMP8, which is the upgrade scheme. And they've confirmed this can happen without risking compliance with environmental permits. It should be noted that Welsh Water will be under a duty to ensure the appropriate disposal of foul water that they have agreed to accept into the public system. And accordingly, referring back to the test for likely significant effect, any potential impact on the SAC's qualifying features has been screened out. So in terms of biodiversity enhancements and net benefit, the application has been supported by landscaping plans and proposed biodiversity enhancements, but some information is still lacking, which is why the authority is requesting further detail. The agent has been advised to implement larger trees with greater longevity potential and contribution to amenity. And then the conditions are quite comprehensive. They include further detail, submission of immediate landscape scheme, a 5-year maintenance plan for landscaping, which NRW had requested and our planning ecologist agrees with. The biodiversity enhancement scheme indicating hedgehog highways, bat and bird boxes. These had been shown on plans, but perhaps weren't thorough enough. It was a little unclear. And then the football pitch parking bays, those 11 adjacent to the football pitch, our planning ecologist advised that they should be constructed a cellular reinforced concrete system to allow vegetation to come through. Then, as advised by the planning ecologist and also public protection, a construction environment management plan addresses the pathways for any potential pollution. And also the images on the right there, they are the boundary detail, a document that was submitted to support the application. This detail is acceptable, so that's an approved plan. So, as I've said, the application site's currently occupied by 3 to 4 football pitches. The proposal reinstates one of the under 11 to 12 junior football pitches, plus there'll be the adjacent storage facility secured via the section 106. LDB policy 54, community facilities, criterion B, development which would adversely affect the operation of a community facility or result in its loss will not be permitted except where a suitable replacement or enhanced facility is to be made available, or where it can be shown the facility is no longer required or is not commercially viable. So the authority carried out an open space assessment 2016 or 18, and this presents a baseline from which to measure the proposal. So according to that assessment, there is 0.16 hectares surplus of pitches in Solva when comparing those results with the Fields and Trust benchmark. At the time of it should be noted, at the time of the 2022 pre-application inquiry, there were only 1 to 2 pitches. So this indicates, it shows that the football club members do fluctuate over the medium term, and it is currently experiencing a high with just over 150 members. We have been in dialogue with Solva Football Club through the application process, and alternative pitches haven't been secured to date. They have mooted the idea of using land in close proximity to the football clubhouse, but this could raise potential planning issue because it could be BMV land, best most versatile agricultural land, and this could only be confirmed with soil testing. So for sustainable transport and access to the site, there are 2 bus stops in close proximity for the T11 bus service. These are circled in red. On the approved plans are secure bicycle storage for each unit, and that group storage, that lean-to for the flats that I pointed out earlier. Also, on approved plans is electric car charging provision for each unit. but we are requesting specification detail for the bike storage units and a scheme for the provision of electric vehicle charging points by condition. There'll be one parking bay per flat and 2 bays per dwelling, and this is as per the guidelines, the SPG. And then there'll be the additional 11 parking spaces for football pitch users. We've considered how this can be managed so that as best as possible, only football pitch users use these spaces, and a condition is recommended for signage details, the location of signage, the wording, the size, to be submitted to us for approval. The number of proposed parking bays for the football pitch has been assessed by Highways. We asked them to look at this specifically to check that parking would be adequate, and they've considered it is adequate for the activity taking place. Existing pedestrian access can be seen in these images. So on the eastern boundary, that access bottom right image, that will remain as it is coming in from Meister Cornell. The style bottom left image, that will remain as is coming in from the agricultural field, and then there will also be an access on the western boundary. This is just an example of how at the moment there are several accesses, but this one in particular, the top left one, is an informal access. So essentially all pedestrian accesses will be retained. There is some amendment of conditions required. Condition number 6, we are requesting for the agent to specify what kind of material and colour for contrasting surfaces between roads within the site, and also pavements, and also for the football pitch designated parking. So that's a slight rewording of condition number 6. In reference to parking again, we're suggesting to add a condition that the football pitch parking bay should be of this particular construction to enable the biodiversity enhancements. The construction methodology isn't required because an external material specification document has been submitted, and this will be an approved document. So we have assessed that document specification, and we consider those materials and colours to be appropriate. So there's no need for condition 12. Similarly, condition 13, because the material specification is quite comprehensive, we won't require samples of the proposed external materials. Then condition 23, when having clarified with Highways, an updated plan had come in showing these dropped curbs with tactile paving on the spine road. So there is no need for extra detail, so that condition can be removed. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Lottie, very much indeed. Very detailed presentation on a complicated and really important site. Obviously, there has been a number of iterations of the plans as they've come in, and there has been a couple of consultation processes. So to explain that, we've quite unusually got an annex attached to this report that contains the responses, full responses, enabling members to see how things have changed over the process of this application and the work of officers. Kate, can I ask you to come in? You
thank you,
asked
Chair.
for a comment.
Yeah. Can I just add, I'm going to try and share my screen whilst Lottie's been doing her really comprehensive presentation. I've thought of another condition that I'd like to add as well. I apologise to members because it is a really complicated set of conditions, with it being in outline and in full. So is that working on my screen? Can you see the?
Yeah, fine. We can see that.
Yeah. So it's just
consent.
Yeah, it's just to ensure that the consent we're granting in outline is for no more than 11. We didn't have a specific condition that addressed that, and we just want to be sure going forward, because the HRA was undertaken in regard to the total number of dwellings. It's really important that we do have a condition that fixes that. So it doesn't really change any part of the application, but it makes that a little bit clearer going forward. And I also wanted to just say that I double checked whilst the presentation was going on that although we changed the description in error at the very end when we were producing the committee report, all the consultation documents, the site notice and all those letters, they went out with the correct description on them. So I've double checked that all the consultees were aware of that. We haven't there's no significant error in terms of that. It's just on the committee report we got the description wrong. So apologies for that, members. Thank you.
Well, yes, it was a typo of 11 and 17 being swapped, wasn't it? So thank you for that clarity, Kate. So questions, we have a speaker on this application, members. So any questions for clarification? I'll start with Charles, who has probably got a point that he wishes to make.
No, Dr. Biggie, I just wanted to double check with Kate that she was happy with 2.32. Her and I did have a discussion about that, and I did think that was going to be changed, but I may be wrong about that.
That's condition 32 you're talking about. Kate, if you can perhaps just check that, and we'll continue on while you're just checking. So a couple of questions, starting with Councillor Williams. Chris.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Charlotte, for the detailed report. Can I just clarify a couple of points, please? Obviously, with the overall plan, you mentioned that currently there are 4 football pitches, and in the new proposal, there's going to be a football pitch which is catering for 11 to 12-year-olds, and there was sufficient parking. There isn't. Can you confirm there is no senior football pitch in that facility, or is it just a junior field in the report?
So the on that application site, it's only junior football pitches, and they are catering for the complete age range from tiny tots up to I guess just before senior level. So the actual senior pitch is located just south of the football clubhouse, which is slightly to the east and then south of the football clubhouse. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris and Lottie. Simon.
Yeah, thanks. That was a really brilliant and so comprehensive report. So congratulations, Charlotte. You showed like an artist's impression, and to me it looked very urban, very sort of urban. And I just brought me back to the consultation response that we've received from Natural Resources Wales to say that the 2-storey nature of the roadside development contrasts with that in the broader setting, in terms of the other areas that have been developed. And it obviously mentions one of the concerns that I have, that it reduces the open character experience when you're leaving Solva and you're heading towards St David's. I wondered if you wanted to comment upon that, perhaps.
Yeah, thank you. So I think, as I tried to point out, the two-story dwellings that are enabled because they have been designed as 1.5 story. You could argue that the dormers are urban in nature, but then this could be weighed against the boundary features, which at the front of the site, so parallel to the main road, that stretch of hedging, it's not going to be hedge bank, but that will be planted up and thickened out. So we're hoping that the improvements to landscaping will soften the appearance of the proposal. And then the boundary features specifically for each unit, we weren't keen to see fencing, timber boarded fencing, and it's wire and then planted hedging, and then also elements of traditional stone walling and timber gates as well. So once I think you're within the site, it will feel more rural in nature. And then because the density is slightly lower, because of the football pitch, but it's also, they aren't really crammed in. So I think the spaces between dwellings it's a similar, it's not too dissimilar a density to what is surrounding it opposite, and also in Bruddow. So because of that lower density, I think that will kind of reflect its more rural location, and should ease any sort of concerns of it appearing too urban.
That's fine. Thank you for that response. Thank you.
Thanks very much, both. Mike, Councillor James.
Does Kate want to come in at that point at all?
Thank you, Councillor James. You're very kind. I just wanted to jump back in with the answer to Charles's question. I think that 2.32 is okay because it ties the numbers, but we could make it a little tiny bit more explicit in terms of saying that it's for a maximum of 11, or we could go with the additional condition. This is where it gets really complicated, having so many conditions.
Yeah, I think probably go with the additional.
I think it's clearer if it's with additional. But then also condition 2.21, but which is to do with the phasing plan. I think we'd actually just need to move where that is in terms of the consent. So we've got, because of the complexity, we've got full permission conditions, outline permission conditions, and then we've got ones that apply to all of them at the very beginning of the conditions list. And I think 2.21 just needs to be moved into the one that shows it applies to all of it, so that we're absolutely sure which part of the phasing, which part of the development is coming forward first, so that we can make sure that's adequately controlled. So if members are happy with that, it's just moving it around as opposed to changing it.
That makes sense, I think, Kate. It's a general applying to the whole site, isn't it? Thank you. Okay, thanks for that clarification, and we'll move on to Mike's question now, please.
Diolch yn fawr, Cadeirydd. I wasn't trying to take over your job. No, thank you. I'm just thinking about the as a keen sportsman. I'm thinking about Solva Football Club, both the juniors and the seniors, and also the comments of the PCC communities manager. You know, they will be concerns about the transition times. A new football pitch will not turn up overnight. It'll take quite a bit of time. I know of clubs who.
What are you doing?
Sorry?
You're clearing up.
Huh?
Somebody's got a microphone on that's unnecessary, please. Sorry, Mike, you continue.
Diolch yn fawr. I've seen football clubs losing their pitch for the whole season because of transition. So I am concerned with that. Also, dealing with the senior team now, are there any development close to the senior football pitch that's been moved down by the clubhouse? I'm just thinking of the properties. Say if a pass or a shot from a player is misjudged and it goes straight towards the development, one of the windows of the, is there a concern there? I'm not quite sure how close the football pitch is to the properties. Are you happy with those two questions, Charlotte?
Yeah, no problem,
Oh,
Mike.
thank you very much.
Address the most key. So the senior pitch is where it's all in, but that is a sort of probably oversight, so that won't be a problem. And then your first question regarding the potential delay in having the provision of the replacement pitches, we have tried to work with working out a solution really of being in dialogue with the football club regularly and also the agent to see what solutions we could come up with in terms of making sure that there was no intermediate loss really. And the agent describes that because this planning application is full and outline currently, but if it's approved, they'll come in with the reserve matters very soon, and they won't be constructing the whole phase 1 and phase 2. They'll be constructing it together. So we had initially thought, oh, well, they could have a pitch in phase 2 area when phase 1 was a building site, construction site, but that's not going to happen. So the entire site will be a construction site. So there won't be any opportunity for a replacement pitch on the application site whilst construction is going on. And as I said, nothing is lined up, nothing's been firmed up in terms of a replacement pitch for the football club. So known at the moment.
Thank you, Lottie. Okay, Mike, with that?
Yes, just the concern that I've got.
Yeah, we can come back
yeah.
to the discussion, but clearly your clarification is. Councillor Tinley. And
Hiya. Would it be possible, Charlotte, to go back to the slide where it shows the field is on, please? I just want to see if anyone can see what I can see.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you.
Share my screen again.
while that's being done, can I just check,
Yeah.
Simon, you've got a hand up. Is that a legacy hand or do you want to come back in? I'm assuming it's a legacy hand then in that case. It's not shared, Lottie, so.
No, sorry. This one? Oh.
Andrew, can you talk us through your question and then hopefully we'll get the, here we
Yeah.
go. Thank you.
It was a different one to that one. It was the other one. Might be that one, yeah. Yes. Okay. So on the top right, I think I can see a cricket pitch. I think I can see the stump. Oh, I'm pointing at the screen like you can see it. Sorry. So that's on the top right, it looks like cricket runs.
There's only football pitches.
Is
It
there?
might it might appear slightly confusing because it does get driven on by vehicles, this area as well.
That's okay.
it
Then.
gets-
I was a bit concerned for the cricketers that might not have been mentioned.
Okay, no
Um,
cricketers.
But the next question is, you mentioned 11 to 12-year-old junior pitch. What is a junior pitch? Because I don't know, I've not heard of that before. I've heard of 11-a-side and half-side pitches, and I've heard of 5-a-side pitches. I don't know what size a junior pitch is, and I don't know how that will look. What material? Will it be grass? Will it be concrete? Tarmac?
So all of these pitches that you can see currently, they'd come under the category of junior pitches.
Yeah.
Because they're all of those age groups that aren't at senior. So those junior pitches could vary in size according to the age group of the players. So as I said, you could have tiny tots, which is the smallest pitch, right up to the well, I'm not sure of the threshold before you go into senior because I'm not a football person, but the reinstated pitch is for the 11 to 12-year-olds. So that's not number of players. That's just the age group, and I imagine that's one of the largest, if not the largest, of the junior pitches. But do note that we will require by condition details of the design and construction of this reinstated pitch. So it will be a grass pitch, but it's not just a case of mowing the grass, as may well have happened here. I'm not quite sure, but it will have a certain base layer to allow for drainage, and then you have turf of a particular sort on top. So it will be to a certain standard, a good standard.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll stop sharing.
Thank you. Thanks, Lottie. And Simon, your hand is up. Do you have a further comment? No, Simon might be having problems. So we go to Claire. Councillor George, please.
Thanks, Chair. I was just going to ask for a bit of clarity on one of the terms used in the report under design 2.2.4. It talks about encouraging a sense of overlooking. Can you tell me what that means and why it's desirable, please, Lottie?
Yeah, that's probably, is that referring to the WGQR standard?
The orientation of dwelling, porches, roof forms and gardens for phase 1 has been purposely considered to encourage a sense of overlooking, optimise solar energy gain and buffer against northerly winds. So I'm happy with the solar energy gains, but I don't know why we're encouraging a sense of overlooking. That's it.
So housing developments currently are encouraged to have this sense of overlooking because it's the natural surveillance that can be achieved between neighbouring properties. So I suppose the word is a bit misleading because overlooking isn't all that positive in terms of planning and amenity, but in this sense, it's the natural surveillance. So it's having that acceptable distance between your neighbours, but that you can kind of visually acknowledge them.
So it's trying to encourage a sense of community almost by being able to see people. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, it would lead to that as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Claire. And I thought there was another question there. Any more points to be raised for clarity with Lottie? In which case, we'll move on to our speaker now. We've got one speaker to this application, Joshua Phillips. Josh is, I hope, with us, is Chair of the Community Land Trust and also a member of the Community Council. Welcome, Joshua.
Hi, good afternoon, Prananda.
Prananda, Croeso, you have 5 minutes for your presentation, Josh. Thank you.
As the chair pointed out, I'm the chair of Solva Community Land Trust, and I'll be speaking on support of the scheme. Just a little bit of context. The land in question had outline planning applications put on it in the late 90s, but that never came to fruition. But really what we're talking about here is a housing crisis that is going on in Wales. The Senedd themselves produced a report last November around social housing that identified that 139,000 people in Wales are on the social housing list. Within Pembrokeshire, the estimate is that this is about 5,000 people, with an average applicant of a gold band waiting 3.5 years to get into a property. In February alone, on 25 properties that were advertised across that month, 998 bids were made. In January, on 40 properties, 2,347 bids were made. We identified through a housing needs survey locally in Solva and St David's and Brawdy that Solva and Brawdy is in need of this affordable housing. We've worked tirelessly over the last 5 years with the community, in consultation with them, through community events, the design team, and through consultation direct with the architect and through yourselves, to design a scheme that is sympathetic to the location that it's in and is thoughtful and appropriate to the community that it will serve. We're pleased that we've got the support of Solva AFC, and that Heidi Holland, the chairperson of Solva AFC, has said that they are supportive of the plan development, which will incorporate a junior pitch, and they acknowledge the Section 106 officer feedback and are keen to identify accessible solutions to maintain the playing area and store equipment for training and games that will afford minimal disruption for the club and residents. At this stage, it's difficult to visualise what this may look like, but we were confident that we will be able to negotiate this with the CLT as we progress. Just in terms of the design development, we were surprised around requested removal of solar shading pergolas in the gardens, which were not seen from the main road, and that given the climate crisis we are to meet and the fact that the development is not in a conservation area, we'd encourage the committee and Parks Planning team to review the design guidance on such elements. And also we understand that some of the conditions, particularly condition 12, leaves open for further discussion on the design of the properties. Due to the wording though, we would request that this is curtailed to solely the approval of materials for the scheme. Otherwise this will further delay the process in delivering this much needed housing. I know I've got about a minute left, but in terms of what a CLT is, all of the concerns that you would raise, we tackle head on. We live in this community, we are neighbours to this scheme, and we want this scheme to be the best that it can be. That's how we've got to this stage, and over the last 6 years we've put a lot of work in to make sure that this fits and is relevant to our local community. So concerns around football pitches and things like that, we share them, and we will make sure that the best outcome is delivered for our community. So thank you very much for your time. If you do have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. That's really helpful. Any points for clarification? Any questions, Ms. Phillips? Yes, Chris, Councillor Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, thank you, Joshua, for a very comprehensive update. Obviously, you engage with the Solva Football Club, which is very good. That's very pleasing. One question for you on that would be, is that obviously with one junior pitch going from 4 down to 1, would it be beneficial in the future if it was an all-weather pitch so that many children could use it for a greater period, and you wouldn't need more pitches, that they can, you know, I understand the benefits of an all-weather pitch.
I mean, my approach would be what the football club would say they want. I'm not going to put words in their mouth. I am the ex-chair of the football club, so I understand that club intimately. There is ongoing work to look at adjacent land to put additional pitches, or we talked about the senior pitch, which is located by the clubhouse. It's not fit for purpose sometimes in the winter, and there's a move to potentially use land that is already used by the Edge Festival for car parking and is just a grass field, which is adjacent on the image to the south of the development, to sort of get that up to spec for the football pitch, for a football pitch as well, in addition to the one that we're providing within this scheme. So I wouldn't want to put words in Solva AFC's mouth and decide whether it's all weather or not. But certainly we would be supportive of whatever they came back to us and said that they want. And that's really why we're trying to say, look, we don't want a condition on it that says it's a shed for a lawnmower, because it may not be that that's the most conducive thing for them. So yeah, happy to support in whatever way we can.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. Excellent.
Thank you very much. And obviously any other changes would need to come forward to a separate application, which would happen in the future, obviously. Any other points, clarification? Simon, your hand is still up and I'm not sure. No, I don't think so. Okay. So members, thank you very much, Josh, much appreciated. Members, we're moving to discussion on this. I would like to reiterate the complexity and the amount of work that our officers have put into this. As you can see, we've started off with 33 conditions. We've removed 3 down to 30 and now suggested an additional 2 and rewording of 1. It's a very, very important site and obviously a very important opportunity for the community. Sarah.
I did just want to clarify for members that in terms of the responsibility for making sure that the football pitch is delivered and that there is a plan for its maintenance going forwards, that responsibility sits with the developer, and the report is very clear that the Section 106 planning obligations are for the developer. So whilst we have suggested that they liaise with Solva AFC, it is not Solva AFC's responsibility to deliver that, it is the developer's responsibility. So I just wanted to make that absolutely clear for members.
Thank you, that's really important. Thank you. Right, members, any comments, thoughts, discussion, please? Well, Lottie, obviously a really, really clear presentation there. Rosie, Dr. Plummer.
I think I'd only just pipped. I was going to say I'm very happy to recommend the proposal. I think it's been very thoroughly worked through, and I think we're all extremely keen to see good affordable housing developments in areas that need them. And obviously along with the changing condition that Kate suggested.
Sorry, Madeline, you're on mute.
Sorry, good Lord, it was going to happen, wasn't it? Yes, we'll confirm that before we go to any votes, Rosie. But you have confirmed that you're amending with you're proposing with the amendments there. Do I have a seconder? Di, you have your hand up.
I did, yes. I've been struggling to I've just changed devices quickly enough because my battery was running really low. So anyway, yes. So I did want to support this. So yes, seconding, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bethan, Councillor Price, any comments, thoughts?
Yeah, I did Diagon in there first. I was going to second that, and I know how important this is for Solva. So yeah, I'm fully supportive of this.
Thank you very much indeed. Members, any other input to discussion? I have a proposer, Dr. Plummer, and a seconder for the officer recognition for its delegated approval, because it would be subject to the section 106. But also I need to highlight that we have suggested amendments, rewording of condition 6, removal of conditions 12, 13 and 23, and movement of condition 21 to the start of the conditions, i.e. covering the whole of the plan application, both full and outline, and addition of a condition on the football pitch surface. No, the parking of the surface, the colour, the materials to be used in the surface of the parking, and also an additional condition which matches or adds to, but I think confirms and clarifies the number outline of no more than 11 properties, so that condition be taken forward, that there should be no more than 11 properties in the phase 2. Happy with that, members? In this case, we'll go to the vote, please. All those in favour of supporting. Thank you, members. That's 15. And can we see if there are any against? Angie, your hand's still up? No, not anymore. Any abstentions?
Sorry, Chair. I'm having trouble with raising my hand on my screen. I did vote for.
Thank you very much. That adds it to 16. Thank you. Abstaining? Yep, thank you. That's 1 abstention. So that's passed, members. Thank you very much. Can I ask for your thoughts now? We're 1:15. We did have a break an hour ago. And I know that at least 2 members need to move on at 1:30. So I'm quite keen to continue unless I see people really concerned and wanting to move or have another 5-minute break. Bethan?
Yeah, I also forgot to mention earlier on, I have to leave soon, actually. I've got to take...
Let's continue on, members, I think, if we can, and see how we go. So we'll move on to item 5D, NP 240492 full. This is change of use from a salon, that's use A1, to apartment dwelling, that's use C3, at Ocean Hare, the Old Brewery Terrace, Saundersfoot. And our officer, Bethan Gledhill, is going to take us through this. Thank you, Bethan.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. Thank you, Chair. Pnawn da pawb. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to share my presentation. I've currently got the wheel of doom spinning, so just bear with me. Okay. Right, so hopefully I'm sharing that with you.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, I've got a couple of verbal updates before I start the presentation. So since the time of writing the report, a draft unilateral undertaking legal agreement has been received and all appears to be in order. Additionally, on page 91 of your papers, the planning ecologist response isn't noted for some reason, but no objections were raised in relation to the proposal from an ecological point of view. So the application presented before you today, as Chair said, is for the change of use from an existing hair salon to a 1-bedroomed apartment. The property is located in Saundersfoot and is accessed off Stammers Road to the rear of an existing hot food takeaway outlet. It's also located within Saundersfoot Conservation Area and within its defined retail centre. The application is being presented today as it is deemed to be a departure from the local development plan due to the fact that it proposes a residential use within a retail centre, and I'll come on to that shortly. So the main issues are the policy and principle of development, the siting, design and the impact on the conservation area, and affordable housing. So this shows you the application location. So it is just here. This is Stammers Road. This here fronting the highway is the hot food takeaway I mentioned earlier, and here is the hair salon, and then this area here is going to be car parking, cycle storage, amenity area and refuse storage. So this plan here gives you sort of more of a context so you can see how close it is to the beach and to the residential area here of Saundersfoot. I've got some slides here showing you some site photos. So this is the view from the east looking into the car parking area. If it will, there we are. This is from the current car parking area looking back onto Stammers Road. It's a bit slow, so bear with. There we are. This is the view of the front / side of the building from the property's car park. And this is the view from the north. So at this point, it's taken from the walkway between the Salty Spaniel shop and the Mulberry restaurant. So those are the site photos. This next slide shows the site within the context of the defined retail centre. As I've alluded to, the application is a departure from the LDP in that the property is located within the retail centre and a residential use is proposed, which wouldn't normally be granted within a retail centre. However, due to the fact that the property isn't sited on a frontage location within Saundersfoot, it's not considered that the loss of this retail unit would impact on the vitality or vibrancy of the retail centre. And as well, Future Wales within Policy 6 of that document notes that the nature of town centres is changing, and that whilst town centres are still important focal points for communities, they are increasingly becoming places to live. And further, the retail emphasis in Saundersfoot has changed since the harbour redevelopment and the new development of the Ocean Square retail units, which you can see here, which are clearly outside of the defined retail centre. The centre, therefore, is essentially contracted on the high street and grown to the east in response to new development. And that change to the retail centre has occurred since the adoption of the LDP. So as such, there are no objections to this proposed change of use. This next slide shows you the proposed site plan. So here is the building in which the hair salon currently is. It's proposed to provide 6 parking spaces as part of this development, 2 spaces for each apartment. There is an apartment on the first floor and an apartment on the second floor. You can also just see there the cycle storage. This is the refuse area, and then there is an amenity space there. So with this being a town centre location, there are limited opportunities for biodiversity enhancements. However, you'll just see there that it's proposed to provide a potted fruit tree. And later on in the slide, you'll see that there is a sparrow box proposed. So if I take you through the existing elevations, this is the northern elevation, so the front elevation, the door there into the salon. There is currently signage there that would be removed, obviously. Here we have the west elevation. There's the southern / rear elevation. This is the existing floor plan, so there we have the hair salon. And now we go to the proposed elevations. So pretty much the same, really. The only difference is we've got the proposed sparrow bird box there, which I mentioned earlier, and the removal of the sign. The south elevation, again, doesn't change. Here we have the proposed floor plan. So as you can see, it is a one-bedroomed unit. In terms of affordable housing, in order for the proposal to be in accordance with the LDP's policy 48, which refers to affordable housing, and the supplementary planning guidance, a financial contribution towards off-site affordable housing is required. And this would be at £250 per square metre of floor space for this area of the park. As I said at the beginning, a draft legal agreement was received yesterday and is in order. I should also note that given the prevalence of second/holiday homes in the area, we will be imposing a condition to restrict the use of the unit to class C3, which is a person or person's sole main residence occupied for more than 183 days per calendar year. And then that would essentially prevent this unit from becoming a second home or a short-term holiday let without the relevant consents. So to conclude, whilst the proposal is a departure from the local development plan, there are no objections to its change of use. And I won't read through all that because I've already alluded to that. The Buildings Conservation Officer has been consulted on this application and does not wish to raise any adverse comments. There are no concerns in relation to a significant impact on residential amenity. Talked about the condition restricting the use of the apartment, and I've also mentioned the financial contribution, which will be sought via the legal agreement, which we received only yesterday, in fact. So the recommendation before you is to delegate the application to issue consent upon the receipt of a final signed unilateral undertaking agreement within 3 months and subject to the conditions found on pages 101 to 103 of your papers. Thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch, Bethan. Another very clear presentation. Thank you very much. And members, I think we've had a number of applications in Saunderson where we've discussed the change of the retail centre and so on. I'm sure we'll be looking at it when we're reviewing LDP. Chris, you raised your hand early on.
Yeah, apologies. Just for clarification, the street is Brewery Terrace, not Stamers Road, just in case. Yeah, sorry. That's what it was. It was Brewery Terrace.
Right.
Thank you very much for the local information. Much appreciated. Rosie, any points for clarification?
No, I was going to go straight into what a lovely clear presentation, nice and punchy, Beth, and thank you, diolch yn fawr iawn. And I'm very happy to support the recommendation.
Thank you. We'll just check whether there's any further discussions. Julie, or Chris, is that another point?
Yeah, I'm happy to support Dr. Plummer on that. No, thank you.
So we have a proposer and a seconder. And Julie, a question?
Not a question, no. Chris beat me to it. I was going to support Rosie and second the recommendation. I should be voting for this. Thank you.
Fine. Thank you. We don't seem to have any follow-up questions. I think members will probably be very pleased to see that condition restricting use as well, which is a very important part of this. So again, thank you for your work on this, Bethan. Right, I have a proposer in Dr. Plummer and a seconder in Councillor Williams for delegated approval on receipt of the final section 106, noting that we're happy with the draft already, so looks like this might be quite swift. So I'm wanting to go to the vote on this, please, now. So please raise your hands. Right, members, thank you. We've got 14 on that. I think we've got 15 on that, rather, and we've got a any abstentions? Any against to start with? Sorry, members, confusing you. And any abstentions? No. So thank you very much. That's carried. Diolch Bethan unwaith eto. And then we'll move on to our final decision for today, which is for a site visit. So 5E NP 24 0638 full. This is an application that's coming for the creation of a traveller site incorporating 1 static caravan, 1 touring caravan, utility room and ecological enhancements, park retrospective, land at Frog Hall Yard in Saundersfoot. Andrew Richards is going to just take us through this quickly. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Chair. I will be as brief as I can. So the summary is on page 105 of your papers, and I won't really just reiterate anything other than officers believe that it would be to members' benefit that members undertake a site visit at this site before formal consideration at a future Development Management Committee meeting.
Thank you, Andrew. There's, as is noted, a lot of interest in this site, and therefore felt very important that members get the opportunity to see it for themselves. I'm happy to take any questions or comments. I've got some hands raised at the moment. So Chris, Councillor Williams.
So I think Mike's before me. Sorry, Chair.
Sorry, Mike. I can't see your hand raised. So please, Mike, carry on. Councillor James.
Diolch yn fawr, and I've always thought that Councillor Williams was a gentleman. It's true now. Yes. I'd like to propose the application, please, for a site visit. Diolch yn fawr.
Propose officer recommendation for a site visit. Thank you, Mike. Do I have a seconder? Di, your hand is up, as are quite a few others.
I was going to second. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So members, there's not really any need for discussion on this. So we'll go to the vote, please. All those in favour? Thank you very much, members. That's 14 in favour. I don't think I need to go any further because that's everybody that's here, but I will just check. Any against? Any abstentions? Got my hand up, which is not necessary. Simon, you've been having difficulty with that legacy hand, so we'll assume not because it was up earlier. Thank you very much. Thank you, members. That's been a really good debate on a number of really important applications there. I must encourage everybody to, we have voted unanimously to have a site visit. I really encourage everybody to attend the site visit, and notification of timing will be sent round to you as per usual. So we'll move now on to the final agenda item, which is to hear an update on appeals from our Development Management Manager, Kate Hattrell. Thank you, Kate.
Thanks, Madeline. Is my screen sharing?
Yes, it is.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to do a really, really quick presentation. I'm conscious that everyone must be desperate for a break now and or lunch. I'm just going to whiz through this really quickly. We've got 3 appeals at the end of the agenda. They're all really good decisions. They all reference that the refusals that we issued were in line with policy and were all dismissed by the inspector. A lot of them centred on policy 29. I just wanted to remind members, that policy 29 has got this bit about things being well designed in terms of place and local distinctiveness, and every one of the appeals, well, apart from the enforcement appeal, which was on Frog Hall that we just considered, apart from that one, they were all in accord with, they were all seen as being contrary to policy 29. So Rising Sun was one of Bethan's application. It's a little cottage located in open countryside, just to the northwest of Knowlton. Hard to photograph as it's a really long bungalow screened by trees, cottage bungalow, very traditional Pembrokeshire vernacular. And Beth Ann tried really hard to get a revised scheme that we could support. But what they were doing was demolishing a kitchen, putting in a flat roofed link, and extending it with a 2-story extension. So we quite often use the term subservient, which means that something is lower, it's clearly an addition. And this was the proposal that we refused, that went to appeal. So you can see that from some points of view, it would look like another house. And to all intents and purposes could have been used as such, although that wasn't what was being applied for. But the inspector made some really good comments about that it didn't respond to the context, that the roof structures were ungainly, unsympathetic, that it didn't respond to the character of the area, and that it wasn't locally distinctive or of a scale compatible with its surroundings, on which basis, in terms of policies 29 and 30, the appeal was dismissed. So I just think it's really important sometimes to have a look at what the officer actually dealt with. So moving swiftly on, this is another one of Beth Ann's refusals earlier in the year, which was for a cash pod by HSBC, located just opposite can you see my cursor? I've got a big cursor, but it's gone a bit weird. Just opposite the Five Arches town wall entrance, and then you're in the Five Arches car park. So at the top there, they were putting it into the corner space next to the disabled spaces. It was a very utilitarian building with internally illuminated signage. The conservation officer was not happy that it properly respected or was sympathetic to the setting of the church, the conservation area, or the walls, which are a scheduled ancient monument. The church is grade 2 listed. And we did discuss that there were alternative sites that could be looked at in terms of supporting it, but the applicants weren't prepared to move the location for it. And they also submitted an appeal in terms of costs because they thought we were being unreasonable. But the inspector dismissed both appeals on the grounds of harm to the conservation area, harm to the setting of the listed church, and hopefully the applicants will come back in with a better location that doesn't sit immediately adjacent to a listed church. That concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. And as you say, yes, very useful for us to be reminded or sometimes see the detail for the first time where it's been a delegated decision. So and some very good supportive decisions there. That concludes our meeting today. Charles, you have a comment to make? You're on mute.
Thank you. There was always going to be one, and it's always me. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. It's been a long day. Just a quick reminder from me that it's really important for members to be present for all of the debate, particularly when we're online. If cameras go off, that's fine, but you must be within earshot and hear the debate that's going on. If you're not here, then please, please, please don't vote, abstain on the voting, because it could be a legal challenge point if that happens, and nobody wants that to happen. So yeah, just a reminder.
Thank you, Charles. Always helpful to have those reminders, and I think we've been fairly scrupulous today. But thank you, members, again for your attention and the high quality of debate. Thank you, officers, for the huge amount of work that's gone in to not only preparing these papers, but also all the work beforehand to bring them to us. Diolch yn fawr iawn, and see you next month.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, members.
Thanks, Madeline. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Well said, Madeline.